Council discussions. Number A is council revokes agricultural land sizes on the official plan. Council vote.
I was going to talk to this. Obviously, we had discussions as a committee of adjustments, and we felt it warranted some council with discussions, or some discussions with council, I should say. But with that being said, since Heather's here, and she knows exactly where it is, and obviously if I would have started talking about it, we would have turned to Heather to get the answers anyways, as she sees it. So I'm just going to turn it over to Heather to advise council of where we stand with this current consideration.
Okay, Heather, you're up.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council. I sent an email to Russ on Friday to give him some background information, and I understand that that information was forwarded on to council, so hopefully you have a bit of an idea of what I'm going through. At our October 15th Committee of Adjustment meeting, I had updated the Committee of Adjustment in regard to the status of the County of Essex official plan review process, noting that there was a public open house and a County Council meeting to brief County Council on Wednesday, October 2nd. As I understand it, the required statutory public meeting for this project is tentatively scheduled for December 18th of this year, and it is expected that the final document will go to County Council for adoption in January. I'm going to be writing a report to council with a little bit more detail on the changes that will be affecting our municipality. That will be coming up in the near future, hopefully at the next council meeting. And I will give the Committee of Adjustment a copy of that report too, so they can be up to date. At the time the request for proposals for the new county official plan came in, there was supposed to be a specialty crop study done in conjunction with the county official plan update. Unfortunately, while the county and OMAFRA were originally supposed to each pay 50% of that project, OMAFRA backed out and the county refused to pay 100%. So that segment of this project did not go forward. And that particular part of the project is important to us in that having a specialty crop study to identify the minimum lot sizes required for different farms and different crops, animals, and so on, would benefit the Committee of Adjustment when making decisions that deal with severances in agricultural areas. As you all know, right now we have 100-acre minimum required for any new lots that are created. I'm talking about just new lot creation, I'm not talking about surplus dwelling lots or anything like that. Over the last few years, the Committee of Adjustment has made it very clear, and some of the members of council I've spoken to as well, have made it very clear that they'd like to see this 100-acre minimum reduced, that it's just a bit too much a lot too much for a lot of areas of our municipality, especially in the southern half, where the soil quality is very good, and you can actually financially do better with your farming on smaller parcels, like things like the Blueberry Farm. The wineries, we already have something in our official plan that permits those. That's been done specifically for the wineries as well as for breweries. But there are other crops that can also be successful in smaller pieces of property. Let's see here. Right now, farms can only be severed into lots smaller than 100 acres when the applicant or farmer or owner submits a valid business plan that's prepared by an expert or professional in the field. And that would have to be for each parcel that's proposed to be less than 100 acres. In other words, if they have a buyer for a parcel that's 40 acres and that they would retain, say, 40 acres, they would then need to do a business plan for both pieces. And most of the time, in fact, in every instance with the farmers that I've spoken to, they don't have plans for the parcel that they're going to retain other than what they're doing at the present time. And to have them go through and prepare a business plan that would be made up, it seems ridiculous. It's a lot of expense to go to. On October 15th, the Committee of Adjustment again expressed their concerns about this 100-acre minimum, and they were very disappointed to hear that the specialty crop study had still not been done by the county. And I did remind them, too, that when this part of the county official plan project was dropped, Jeff Watson attempted to contact other municipalities as well as OMAFRA. Most importantly, it was OMAFRA. We wanted to get information from them in regard to the minimum lot sizes required for different types of crops. And he could not get anyone to return his calls, and he tried on many occasions to get through to them. The only thing he was able to get was information from a municipality in the Niagara region, because they have similar quality soils, lots of wineries, and the one thing that he was able to get from them was the information about the business plan. So we've been using that to date. And I guess what this boils down to is that a specialty crop study still needs to be done. It's an expense that our municipality could undertake, but since there are other municipalities in the county that would benefit from a specialty crop study, I think it would be wise for all the municipalities that are affected to do one study that would affect all of us. I'd like to see the county doing that. And if that couldn't be successful, I'd like to see the town of Essex contact maybe Amherstburg, Kingsville, and Leamington, because of the fact that we all have that proximity to Lake Erie and, the climate, the soil quality. We all have a lot in common that way. So we could all benefit from a specialty crop study if we jointly did such a study. Of course, I'll put more of this information into a report for you, but that's basically where we stand right now with this.
Councilor Vokes?
Thank you, Your Worship. Heather, thank you very much for the assistance on that. Based on your views, would it be too late to interrupt the official plan now at this stage, or would it be something that we could hopefully maybe send a letter to the county from the planning department based on the endorsement of our council to consider that for the next official plan? Or what would you suggest?
I think it is too late to actually
Amend it?
make a difference in terms of what the policies of that document. And it isn't that we haven't tried, because we have tried throughout this entire process. We've been told flat out that there's no way this would go through the Ministry of Agriculture.
Right.
So right now it is going forward with the 100 acres. I think the best way to deal with it is by going for the specialty crop study. I don't know how much it costs to do such a study. We would like to find out. We really do need to have that communication with the ministry in order to find out what it is that they need from us in order to justify these smaller lot parcels when we have applications at the Committee of Adjustment.
Then,
So,
sorry, Heather, I apologize.
I was going to say that maybe, I guess, a letter that would deal with the specialty crop study aspect of it and asking other municipalities in the county to join us. Maybe it could be done at the county level. That would be my preference and what I think would be the best solution. And if that doesn't work, then we, as a fallback, talk to the other municipalities in the south half of the county in hopes that they would work with us in this regard. I know that other municipalities in the county do have concerns. I did speak with Rick Atkin from the town of Leamington, Councillor Atkin, and he indicated that they are very unhappy with the lot sizes. At present, their minimum lot size required for farms is only 24.7 acres. We're not quite sure how they were able to get that approved, but they did. And they're, I think, the lowest in the entire province right now. But there are others in the county that are 40 acres, 50 acres, and two others that are also 100 acres at present.
Just one last comment. Would it be to our advantage, Heather, you think, if council gave a direction to the planning department administration to meet with the municipalities as you suggested, to have some dialogue amongst yourselves? Would that be, Russ, would that be better, just the three communities under the leadership of administration and planning meet and discuss amongst themselves, and then those three municipalities collectively can give some direction to each and every council what we should do?
Randy, you're referring to Amherstburg, Kingsville, and Leamington?
Yes.
In
And us too.
particular? I still think we should attempt to do this at the county level
Okay.
first, and if they say, no, they won't pay for this, then at that time, I think we should definitely
Then I will
work
make
with the
that,
others.
does that have to be in the form of a motion to make that happen?
I think what Heather's recommending is we wait until the 18th to find out what's going to happen at the county level
And then,
and then deal with it.
okay, so, okay.
Okay? I have Mr. Phillips, and I'll remind you, the chair is still here. Doesn't matter who's sitting in it, so instead of these, how about we're all involved with the chair here, okay? Mr. Phillips.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, I think the notion of bringing this forward at a county level is advisable. I support the conversation. And I think there's also a meeting of the CAOs the following week after the 18th. I think the CAOs get together. And this is certainly something that we could take to Brian Gregg on the agenda when we meet together as the CAO group to try to reinforce this notion through our planning departments that this needs to be reviewed.
Councilor Baker?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Through you to Heather. Heather, how many, so moving forward on the official plan, that when it is adopted, will the current other municipalities in our county who have less than 100 acres now, will that remain?
My understanding is that each municipality will be doing amendments at the time of their 5-year review. Now, our 5-year review will be, through you, Your Worship, our 5-year review is next year. Hopefully, we will get to it at that time. And the goal, or what we're supposed to be doing, is to implement the county official plan in our own official plans. So my understanding is Leamington, I have a copy of a report by the Director of Planning in Leamington, and it says that the minimum farm size can remain to be 10 hectares or 24.7 acres. Or they have 2 hectares or 4.95 acres for greenhouses as well.
So, through you, Your Worship, so that's just confirming the fact that when the official plan is passed, there's still going to be municipalities out there that have less requirements under the 100 acre than we do, right? So what kind of support are we going to get? Are we going to get support then, and I guess I'll ask you through you, Your Worship, have you got support, or do you know of support from our other planners that are supporting less than 100 acres right now?
We, Your Worship and members of council, we had to, as a steering committee for this project, the planners representing each municipality had to vote on the minimum farm lot size that they thought was appropriate. Basically went around the table at a meeting. And unfortunately, all of the other planners, except for Jeff and I, voted to go with 100 acres. But the consultant did put something in the policy that would permit the preparation of a specialty crop study each time that someone wanted to go forward with a severance in an agricultural area, which is another, for one person to do, or one applicant to do, that's a lot of expense.
So last, just through you, Your Worship, again, just so I understand, so there are those current municipalities in the county who are less than 100 acres, but they voted against it? I'm not sure I understand why they would.
Your Worship, I really don't quite understand it either. I certainly had committed myself to our Committee of Adjustment, and everyone that I talked to, that I feel it's too great of a number, and I felt that we needed to push for a smaller number.
So my question then again is, do you have support from the other municipalities for less than 100 acres? And it doesn't sound like it. It's
more to do with, if there's Your Worship, if there's more to do with preparation of the specialty crop study. If we had that background information, then absolutely there would be something to fall back on. We don't even have to necessarily change the document, the county official plan. It can actually be done at the individual municipal level, because we would have that information that says that specialty crop study has been done and minimum farm size for cherries is 20 acres. I'm making that up, but
So, and I'll move on real quick, but this is a very important issue, because if we're left with the only one in the in this county who have 100 acres left, it really loses our opportunity to grow our wine sector and our specialty crop areas. So it's very important. The other point is, what other municipalities in the province have these less than requirements? Maybe we can do an inventory of how many have less than 100 acres so we can support some stuff and show what industry sectors that they're focused on. We really need to move the support. It doesn't sound like, from the planner's point of view, you're getting support, which is, it really is opposite to their council. So I need to get some clarity on that. So hopefully the administration can build the case and then go to the county, or let's go it alone with our other municipalities down on the South Shore to get this study. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Anything further? Okay, we'll go to B. Russ Phillips, Chief Administrative.
If I could, I had the second issue of Hanlon Street flooding.
No, that was one I think that was removed, Councillor Vogt, at our meeting on last Thursday.
Oh, I was under the impression we talked about tonight. I asked that it be put back on in my email. Didn't anybody see that?
Saw the email, but these things are done on Thursday, and the report goes out, so.
So can I get a report from Chris real quick?
We have, we'll see, but we have Russ Phillips, Chief Administrative Officer, up now. I mean, Council's agenda item. Maybe this will touch on it.
I hope so.
Me too.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you, the Chair. Just wanted to bring to the attention of Council that administration is continuing to address the Council agenda matters, and the timing of bringing items through administration to get all of the requisite reports, the background work that you require, and to pull together the agenda items, particularly in this era of accessibility. And I know staff are continuing to struggle with the formation of agendas to make them in an accessible format. All of our directors and writers now are being trained in this and getting educated in how to work with those tools to make sure that all of our agenda items and reports are accessible, and we understand that. But it is taking additional time. And I just wanted to point out that in the procedural bylaws, or in our normal activities, we've used agendas are prepared in time such that the cutoff by the clerk is 12 noon on Wednesday currently. And what we are proposing, administration is proposing, and this has really no impact to you, in that we will continue to provide you with the agendas on Thursday afternoon, but we're effectively cutting them off to staff. This has a bigger impact on staff, is that we're going to back up our Wednesday at noon till Tuesday at 2. So Tuesday at 2 is our new administrative cutoff, such that if you have a report request and you want that done, please be mindful that as you're putting your request forward, or as staff are having to scramble to pull this stuff together, that Tuesday at 2 is the clerk's now her official deadline. She needs all materials in by that point in time. So, not to make fun of it, but we have Tuesday at 2s now, so that's our new cutoff. Thank you, Your Worship.
Questions? Councillor Bondi?
Go ahead.
Just to administration, thank you. That's fair. I can certainly work with that. Just sometimes a lot of discussions don't equal reports, right? It's kind of, being a council member, we don't have really any mechanisms to talk to staff, like other than popping by, going to the office and saying, hey, Joe, how is the swing set over there? Like, it's really hard to talk to staff, and it's also not transparent. One council member going to a staff member and saying, can you look at this? Discussions come to council, and then council decides on if this is going to form a report or not. So I think that's kind of where I was confused with where you were going, but now I see the clarity in it. And I can appreciate staff needing more time, but I think at the same time, all discussions won't equal reports. Sometimes they're just discussions. For example, a polling station in Harrow Center. That was just a simple discussion, and there really wasn't a mechanism. I can't send off an email and say, council, can we have this discussion via email? Because that's not the way that the municipality should be ran. So, thank you.
If I just might touch on that last comment, to me, if you have a question, could we do this? We don't have to bring that question up in the council chambers here. To me, that's a phone call to the clerk. Is there a possibility of this? And she says, probably, yes or no, or I can check into it, and then we don't have a 15 or 20-minute discussion here with regards to something that can be dealt with over the telephone. And if you're having a problem getting a hold of anyone from any of our staff, you can't get a hold of anybody. Boy, I find that hard to believe, because that phone never stops ringing in the office, and doesn't matter whose office you walk by, somebody or half of them are on the telephone. So if you can't get to them, it's because they're really busy on the phone already. So I'll give it back to Sherry, and then it'll come back to Russ.
I think sometimes, too, there's a bit of a challenge just talking to a staff or talking to a council member. I'll explain a recent experience. And council has committed to meeting with the youth twice a year. So we did meet with them in the spring, and we're planning to meet with them in the fall. So I asked to throw it on a council discussion item so that we can talk about it as a council and say, okay, where are we going with this? First of all, are we ready to meet with the youth again? Who wants to be involved with getting youth together? And, what time works, and yada, yada. So anyways, that item was removed from council discussion. That's fine. Mr. Mayor said, go ahead, schedule a meeting. But I'm not in charge of the youth. It's not Sherry Bondi's youth meeting. It's our youth meeting. So, if Councillor John Scott has some ideas about what youth should be involved or how to get youth feedback, or, Councillor Meloche or Bowman or Baker, then we can all discuss it here and go away with a plan as a team. Where now, it's like, Sherry, pick a date, when's the youth meeting? And I'm like, it's not solely my job to do this, and nor do I want it to be. I want it to be a council job. So that was the reason why I had that item thrown on the council discussion. Because when it comes back and then we have the youth sitting here in front of us, somebody will ask, well, who picked you? What was the selection process? And then I'll get pointed at. So it was just issues like that, where I think sometimes the council discussion will bring us all together. So that's just one little example. I have more, but we don't want to be here all night.
No. Okay, I'll get back to that meeting that you requested. My comment to you was, Sherry, instead of bringing them here and trying to set up a date when we can or when we can't, and you sent me an email back after and said, that's a good idea, Mr. Mayor. All I asked you to do was contact that youth representative, have him give us 2 or 3 dates, and we would poll council, when can we get them here? That's simple. We don't have to discuss all that stuff. That's all I asked you. I didn't tell you to do it. I just asked you, who were talking to the youth group, just let these people know 3 or 4 dates. We'll get together. We want to hear from these kids. No kidding. I guess we do. But we don't have to discuss it here for 20 minutes before we finally say, okay, well, let's go back to them and get a date. Do that first. That's all I'm saying. We can save time by doing things that we're doing. I got Russ, and then I got Councillor Volz.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, just in the notion, some good commentary in terms of team and team support, and certainly that's, when I speak on behalf of administration, we certainly want to work as a team with council in representing the interests of the community and to carry out your will. I think it's important, though, in terms of the communication, and in particular on the discussion item, I think that Councillor Volz wants to discuss, and I'm certainly willing to, and if with the pleasure of council, to discuss that particular item. But it strikes me that that's an administrative day-to-day management matter that really doesn't need to take up a lot of space or time inside the chamber, which I tend to treat as being an area where we set policy and we set overall, or the council sets direction. The day-to-day, if it's brought to my attention, I will be diligent in finding information, getting answers for council, and responding to you fairly promptly. In the particular issue that the The one item that the councillor has raised regarding the Hanlon Street residential flooding, I appreciate that that's a long-standing item. It's been here for a couple of years, I believe. Staff are working on it. I had no further information or no requests from any residents or from council, any member of council, prior to the councillor asking that it be put on the agenda. It would be nice to have those conversations first, and that's what I would like to offer to all members of council, is that give your administration an opportunity to get you the answers. If it still needs to be discussed here, by all means. I don't want to take that authority away from you at all as a body, but I think in fairness to the resident, the folks around this table that work for the administration are the ones that get the work done. They're the ones with the shovels and with the tools and have the ability to cause things to happen in the field. Council sets that policy and direction, and I don't think that this item is a policy item. It's an activity that I believe Mr. Nepsey and his group are well underway and have plans, and I circulated that information earlier today. I'd be happy to huddle up with Chris and with any member of council or all of council. I'm not certain, though, that we need to take up a lot of energy at these meetings here to have those kinds of administrative discussions. If I'm wrong, I'd be happy to hear about it.
Sir, Councillor Vokes?
Yeah, well, the truth is, a lot of us who work, I get into work, Russ, at 6 in the morning, and it's not uncommon to get out at 5 at night, so I don't always have the opportunities to slip into the office and have those discussions. And the only opportunity for me is through email or something, but council discussions fits that for me. It works for me. And that's why I ask that. Some of these things we do during council discussions, and there's a lot of things happening out there that has been brought up in council discussions where the community at large understands it as a result of the media being here and different things that's enhanced our community, because the discussions have started on the street as a result of council discussions and having those discussions, and it's triggered the direction of council. If that call was only made to an administrative person, respectfully, it could end there and we could take a route we may not want to go. So that's the importance to me of council discussions, but I agree with you. I don't think it should be too prolonged. There's maybe some things that we can get answered at an administrative level. Being a little bit of a hypocrite here, I didn't think the Hanlon flooding issue was really not unwarranted of having some. It's like what John had said earlier. We make a big deal out of nothing sometimes, and we do that periodically with council discussions. I always thought the Hanlon discussions in time frame could take 5 minutes tonight. That's all I want. I don't want a big, long, dragged out, which we do quite often as argument. Just where are we with the Hanlon Street? And I'll share that with all the residents that have been questioned, quite frankly, myself and Councillor Malash, ongoing. So that's all I'm asking for tonight, is a simple 3 to 5 minute report from Chris that says, here is where we are with it. That's all I'm asking. And my other thing is to administration, when did we hire Joe? Because I heard Sherry say she went into town and she said, hey Joe, what about my swing set? Doug, did you bring him from the city of Windsor? No? Okay, thanks.
I don't know, Mr. Nepsey, like I know Councillor Vokes asked for some information. You sent an email out, I believe this afternoon, explaining everything. That was more than I thought that he would ask for. I could be wrong, but I thought that was a great report that, dealt with the issues that those people had down there with regards to the new properties and the replanning or whatever they were doing.
Yeah, I actually seen that if I could when I walked in tonight, but I didn't. But obviously we were starting our council meeting, so I never got the chance to even look at it. Did that email, Chris, suggest that's what we're going to do, and are we going to do it?
Through your worship, I sent Russ the description of, I guess, a little history of what's going on there and moving forward where we're at with things with the Jacana development and the residents on Hanlon Street. The drainage behind their houses and is now parkland. That area has been dedicated to the town as parkland. It's currently been graded and overseeded, sprayed, Today I was there. There is water collecting along the backyards of the Hanlon Street properties. The ponding water there is on, from what I can see in the pictures and from what I saw when I went there, is on town property. And even looking at the pictures that were provided in Mr. Vokes' emails, the water has gone down substantially since then. The future plans for that area, once given to the town as parkland dedication, we've been working with community services, and that's a 2014 budget item as far as installing drainage in that parkland along the fence line, I guess is the best way to describe it, along the fence line of the residents on Hanlon, and even extending that drainage into Bridlewood Park, because we know the southeast corner of Bridlewood Park has always been wet and usually out of commission after a little bit of rain. So unfortunately, development happens not on our doing. The developer decided to develop this year, so it wasn't a budget item in the 2013 budget. So the monies are currently being proposed in the 2014 Parks budget to install that drainage and then connect to the storm sewer system that was put in place there.
So short term, then we're not going to do nothing. Pardon?
Councilor Baker just says, Councilor Baker is making a point of order that he would prefer you come through the chair than just have a conversation back and forth. Why? Because that's the way we do things here, sir.
So what are we doing short term, Chris?
Through your worship, like I said prior, the lot was just graded. If the area becomes an issue as far as flooding on their properties, which it doesn't appear to be right now, it's on town property, we can do some, weather permitting. If the field dries up, we can do some temporary swaling to mitigate some of the standing water there. We could also, and I know Donna's going to punch me over here, but we can pre-commit 2014 budget monies to take care of that work in this season, again, weather permitting, that we can get in there and get the work done. In addition, one thing I didn't mention there are 3 lots that run north and south that come right off of Bryan, and their backyards, I guess the best way to describe it without having the figure in front of me, but their backyards line up with the side yard of Mr. Commer's property. They will be under scrutiny as far as following our development standards and our guidelines with respect to rear yard drainage, and that states that those people have positive drainage in their backyards to take care of their drainage. So from their fence line, it comes back towards their property to a catch basin that's 5 feet off the fence line. That catch basin is tied to the storm sewer in the front. So that's something we're also doing to ensure that there's no impact to, I guess in particular, that one resident that's currently there. So like I said, temporarily we're going to take a look at it if we have to do some additional swaling. If not, if we can wait off till 2014 when the permanent works, if the budget's passed for those works.
Thanks, Chris. We did have a swale in there prior to the development, and the residents were okay at that. What they weren't okay with is the fact that when the development started, the swale was removed, their flooding reoccurred, and it wasn't put back in. So thanks, Chris. I'll call you in the morning.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. And then Deputy Mayor Malash.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you and to you, this is for you to speak to and respond to. We've just went through a whole process here against procedural order. We put something on the agenda. Not one of us council voted on this issue to be on there. I'm all in favor of council discussions. There is procedures and there's timelines. When we all follow the thing to put something on council agenda by a certain date and have background information as to why we're going on. What we've just witnessed here is somebody commandeering council and this could have been done behind the scenes with administration. There's oftentimes that all of us councils are working with administration to get issues done. We had a meeting, there was a meeting out in Ogden about some trails. We didn't bring it to council, we did it with administration. This is what we do. If you want something to come to council, can we follow the deadlines? Can we put it on and put some background information? We've now just had a report from council, not authorized by council and not even voted on. I understand council discussions, we want it, but there's procedures. What we're doing is commandeering council here and throwing anything else we want on at the last minute for whatever particular reasons, grandstanding, I'm not sure. But this is not procedural issues, and we should follow them. So I would like you to address that, please.
I would inform council in the very near future, believe me, we will be getting together. Mayor Malash.
Thank you, through your worship. To Russ, I was just checking my email here. I was interested in the Hanlon Street information as well, and I do not see an email here from Chris telling me about the Hanlon Street. So I don't know, did Chris send an email out today? Oh, it's from you. That's from you, okay. Okay, very good. I didn't see the, probably because I was working and I came right from work to here and I didn't get a chance to read it. But, okay. I was probably just leaving work at that point in time. Don't want me reading my emails while I'm driving, right? Just want to make sure. But there are a lot of times where we have council discussions where more than one of us are involved, and I don't know if we want to set up a separate meeting than our public meeting and have a meeting every Monday night through the month so that we can have these council discussions. I mean, that's another way of doing it. So maybe we should be looking at that. Meeting more than the 2 times a month, meeting maybe a third Monday where we can have discussions with different administration and just have all the administration show up for that meeting so that we can have discussions.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Phillips?
Thank you, your worship, through you. Comment on the notion of committee of the whole type of discussion where resolutions necessarily or motions aren't made, but you can kind of roll up your shirt sleeves and have those more candid conversations. I raised this with the mayor the other day on this I think stemming largely from these types of activities where, and appreciating what Councillor Vokes was saying, you're not all available during the day. I do get visits from time to time from some of you that are in the area or not employed, like the mayor, a very busy man, but retired from his day shift. So we do have those opportunities, and some of you exchange emails more frequently, and I encourage that kind of dialogue and think that there is an opportunity to talk about those things more openly without the notion of having a motion at that point in time or any resolutions. Just have those dialogues and not necessarily the free-for-all. You can still stick to an agenda, but put those things in maybe a more open format, and then at the next meeting of council you can get into those details. I have had some experience in that. Pros and cons. I've seen it work well, and I've seen it not work so well, so it's one you might want to test or play with.
Thank you, sir. Is that right? Okay, thank you very much. Resolutions. Notice of motion. Is it moved by Mayor McDermott that administration be requested to prepare a report to clarify actual spending done by Essex Council in 2013 for conferences, meal, and travel expenses. Now, the reason I had this put on the agenda is about a month ago, approximately a month ago, there was a figure thrown out here at council meeting with regards to $90,000 being spent by us in a, I think it was a 17-month period. I don't know where that figure came from. I've heard it on the radio. I've seen it in 2 or 3 newspaper articles. I've had a number of emails from citizens in the town of Essex chastising we council members for this kind of a figure. I know for a fact that this isn't the figure, and that's why I'm requesting administration give us a actual report of how much these expenses were. I don't care, for a year, the last 17 months, whatever. Just so the public out there will know that, hey, if I deserve 20 lashes for something, I'll take the 20 lashes. But if it's only this much of a problem and I should get 5, that's all I want is the 5, not the 20. So that's my request, and I'm prepared to make the motion. I guess that we get this report for council. I'll make the motion and get a seconder possibly, and then we can have discussion. Oh, notice motion, you're right, exactly. Still need a seconder. Yep. But we do need a seconder. Councilor Baker? Okay, floor is open for questions. Any, Councilor Rhodes?
Let me help you out a little bit here before it backfires on you. First of all, it just wasn't council. Again, obviously everybody that evening wasn't listening. It was council and staff. And your motion, as you'd already indicated, talks to 2013. It's just not 2013. It's all of 12. So it's all of 12, 13 to date, council and staff. It just wasn't council. And if you want to look back, you'll see I didn't say that originally.
Through the chair, but not to argue with you, sir, but boy, I'm sure I still have all the articles at home that quoted yourself. You know, they didn't quote me with those figures or anything else or who they were or anything. Like, they all said council members, council. I know you had 2 different reports that same evening here. One was council members and another one was administration, you know, so.
If I could, and I don't want to put Don on the spot, but that I had asked for the remuneration for conferences and mileage for staff and council. She's going to tell you, yes, I did.
Well, I know you did. I know you did. Well, not, like I say, not to argue with you. Well, not to discuss this with you any further, sir. That administration be requested to prepare a report to clarify actual spending done by Essex Council in 2013 for conferences, meal, and travel expenses. We have a mover and a seconder. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Now we're looking for an adjournment. Motion received, and it's always in order.
The Tuesday timeline takes effect now? The Tuesday timeline for agendas?
Through your worship, no, it doesn't. The bylaw has to be amended first, so the bylaw will have to come back for the next council meeting.